When Apple last reported quarterly financial results, investors were interested in many things that the company's management team had to say. Most notably, they wanted to know what flexibility the company had to adjust to the increase in tariffs. Now, thankfully, since Apple reported those last results, those have been changed meaningfully as this morning President Donald Trump announced a pause in tariffs against China. So that was good news for Apple, but not entirely. So we need to know more from the company's management team, and I hope this video will elaborate on some of the changes that Apple will experience as a result of the increase in tariffs and provide insights into what's going on with Apple stock.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
So in the latest quarter, Apple reported $95.4 billion in revenue, which was up 5% from a year ago and was near the higher end of the guidance that management provided to investors. Now, Apple's revenue growth has slowed down considerably in the last 2 or 3 years. The company has found it difficult to increase revenue as its major product, the iPhone, is facing increasing competition from rivals in China, and it's losing market share in China. And now with the increase in tariffs, that puts the company's major products under increased pressure as a result of the increase in cost of goods. Now, earnings per share were up by 8% year over year as the company's been able to control costs well, and also as its services segment grows faster than its product segment. Apple's services segment generates roughly twice the gross profit margin as the product segment does. So that's been helping Apple increase profits even though sales growth has been muted. So Apple CEO Tim Cook talked about how and what flexibility Apple has to change production as a result of tariffs. So they're saying that they are going to be expanding their teams in their facilities in several states, including Michigan, Texas, California, Arizona, Nevada, etc. And we're going to be opening a new factory for advanced server manufacturing in Texas. He went on to say that during 2025, we expect to source more than 19 billion chips from a dozen states, including tens of millions of advanced chips being made in Arizona this year. Remember, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, which is a business I've been talking about for several years, they've shifted their manufacturing outside of Taiwan in response to, they said, one of their and many of their customers asking them to expand their manufacturing to diversify. And here's a result of that diversification as Apple has been able to incentivize Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing, along with the United States government, which gave Taiwan semiconductor manufacturing billions of dollars in incentives to bring manufacturing to the United States. So these changes will help Apple mitigate some of the impacts of rising tariffs, but not all and not by a large percentage, but it's a start. And if it's given more time, it can continue to alleviate some of the most negative circumstances from tariffs. Apple also has a large manufacturing base in India. Well, I shouldn't say Apple has a manufacturing base because Apple doesn't own any of the manufacturing. It contracts this manufacturing from third-party sources like Taiwan Semiconductor. And so it has some partners in India that it can source products from. So in combination, if given time, Apple can mitigate a large percentage of the tariffs that have been implemented on Chinese products. And of course, today's announcement with the 90-day pause will be a huge help for Apple in giving it more time so that its partners can increase the manufacturing capacity in regions outside of China. And so Apple will have an ability to increase the manufacturing in those areas to import to the United States. And then the manufacturing it does in China, it can use that supply to serve markets outside of the United States. Remember, Apple is an international business with strong sales outside of the United States, so it can use all of that manufacturing to serve regions outside of the United States that it will not have to pay a tariff on. And then for the United States market, it can source its products from these various sources to mitigate the tariffs. So during the quarter, they also introduced a lower priced iPhone, the 16e, which is a new entry level addition to their iPhone 16 lineup that will bring in new customers to Apple's ecosystem. And remember, the iPhone itself, it does generate a good margin. But what generates more margins for Apple is when the customer gets fully embedded into the Apple ecosystem. And this is an lower cost way to get customers into the Apple ecosystem, where if they purchase, for example, Apple Music or something from the App Store, Apple will generate margins over 75% on those incremental sales. So that's where Apple really thrives, is once they get you into the ecosystem. It's a very sticky ecosystem, high cost of switching because you adapt your electronics, your computer, your phone, your watch, your services, you optimize them, and then it's very costly, timely to switch to another provider. And Apple counts on that to profit from customers as they charge them monthly fees. And they mentioned that they have over 1 billion subscribers to its various subscriptions. And that's where Apple really benefits from higher profit margins. Now, I wanted to remind everybody of my proprietary discounted cash flow for Apple's stock value. The intrinsic value per share I calculated for Apple was $173. The current market price, even after today's increase, is $209. I've been saying all year that I felt Apple's shares were overvalued coming into the year. I rated Apple stock as a whole. It was one of the only big tech stocks, including Tesla, that I stated were overvalued. The other Mac 7 I've had rated as buys for 2025, except for Apple and Tesla. And it's because of valuation. I've always thought Apple's a great business, but the shares have become overvalued as the company has struggled to generate revenue growth, while the valuation continues to increase as investors like the safety and the reliability of Apple's business in the long term. Hey everyone, I'm excited to announce that my book, Make Money Buying and Selling Stocks, a 6-step framework for evaluating publicly traded companies, is finally available for sale. Unlock the power of intelligent investing with my 6-step investing framework. It's a proven system designed by a university professor and a chartered financial analyst. Frustrated by the lack of frameworks that met my needs and high standards, I developed this comprehensive guide to help investors at all levels make confident and informed decisions. In this book, you learn how to assess opportunities, manage risk, and build a portfolio that works for you. No investor should dive into the market without a solid strategy, and this step-by-step framework provides you the roadmap you need. Whether you're just starting out or looking to refine your approach, this guide will empower you to take control of your financial future. I've added the link in the description below.